And it's knife time. It's Christmas Eve, 2024. Wow. In my opinion, this year went by pretty fast. It's a pretty intense year, election year, all that stuff. And on this wonderful holiday evening, we're going to be doing a classic, wonderful American knife, the tried and true Buck 110. Yes, indeed. And I think that almost everybody knows this knife. Almost everybody in one shape or form or another has seen this knife or a copy thereof in their lifetime. In 1962, I believe it was, Buck came out with the 110 and its lockback design. And this knife pretty much held the ground of the lock blade pocket / belt scabbard knife of America, at least for a very, very long time. Most of my life, not most of my life, most of my young life, this was it. And there were copies of this, and there you get certain copies of this that were poorly made at the flea market that were made in Pakistan, and they were so great, and they were like $3.50 at the local swap meet, and hey, not talking smack, dude. The Pakistans, they make some of my favorite knives, period, bar none. But in the late 70s, the early 80s, the Pakistani copies of the Buck 110 were not that great. But anyway, so yeah, even other American and non-American knife companies have made versions of this knife, but the Buck 110 was the one. And this pretty much rode around with everybody. And, you know, you didn't even think about getting anything like these modern knives and stuff. I don't know, you know, there was no internet. You had magazines, and mostly like every once in a while you'd see some obscure knife in the back of Guns and Ammo, like the Ox black knife, which I ordered one. I have it still to this day. But or you know, and that's where I originally saw Spyderco's and Emerson's, stuff like that. But that was Emerson's were later on that I saw. But you know, you start to see in the late 80s, early 90s, you start to see like the Spyderco's and that type of stuff. But rolling until the mid 90s, like I had a variation of this, or like I had this one sharp lockback that I used. And believe it or not, in those days, a good heavy duty, I'm not sure how well they are made they are now, because I haven't had one in a very long time, but the Gerber Gator lockback was another one I always had. That came out around the mid 90s. I don't know when it came out, but that's when I started carrying them. But until that point, till like, I'd say 92-ish, man, this was just like an American pocket knife, you know. And they came with the belt scabbard, and this is a newer one. This one's newer. I've only had this like 2 or 3 years. The new ones have this little thing that says Viva Buck. It's got the little thing on there and all that. But the original scabbard just had a little chrome dot, and man, see, back in those days, you didn't have a million knives. You know what I'm saying? You had your knife, and you didn't lose your knife. You sharpened your knife. You had a whetstone at your house. You sharpened your dang knife. And so this thing was always on you. It was always on your belt, you know. Heck, man, you take off your work bands, you set them to the side. This was still hanging on your belt. You know, you put it on the next day, jump in your truck, go to work. There it was, you know, whatever. And after a while, this thing ended up looking like a 27-cent avocado. Yeah. And yeah, This is, in my opinion, the quintessential American-made lockback knife. I don't care what anybody else says ever. And I was doing a little bit of reading up about it because I was like, man, when did they start making that? Because, like I said, I remember these being around my whole life. And I remember it said 1962. And then I saw a couple of little things, and everybody's got an opinion. And everybody seemed to call this the grandpa knife. And that gave me a giggle because in my era, I never knew a grandpa that had one of these. Grandpas would always say, oh, those things are big. That's a big knife. It's too big. And even my dad would tell me, oh, it's too big. And he always carried this just little case knife. And lots of dudes just carried small little Barlow's case knives and such back in the day. Non-locking knives because, and if they're like hunting and need to skin something out, they'd carry a fixed blade. But a big folding knife like this, a lot of people refer to this to a grandpa knife. It gave me a giggle because I never saw this as a grandpa knife. This was Terry, the guy that dated your mom after she divorced your stepdad's knife. Yeah, that's what these would remind me of, man. Like some sketchy dude that had a Trans Am. He'd say things like, what does a dog in a jacket know about anything anyway? Like, hey man, I'll trade you something for that Dare sticker. And Linda, I'd have a job if a Japanese bowling pin company hadn't bought Harley Davidson, okay? Yeah, stuff like that. That's who had this knife. The blue collar, like hardcore, like early 80s, red rag, the back pocket, the Bruce, the Boss, rock and roll listening to dude had this knife, man, in his stink bug Camaro or Trans Am, his AMF Harley Davidson that ran 3 days every quarter year. Yeah, Terry. Yeah. Go on and tell then. You ain't gonna tell. Go on and tell then. No one will believe you. It's your dang old fault. Terry. This is Terry's knife. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, dude. Like, this is like the quintessential, I don't know. I laughed when I saw a grandpa knife. This is kind of like the American dirtbag folder. I don't know. They're trying to like rewrite it and sweeten it up now. This is like a Clint Eastwood Any Which Way You Can. This is like, this is like something like all the Black Widows had and like Any Which Way You Can, which they probably didn't. But I'm just saying, this was like, I wasn't doing nothing wrong, Timmy. I had to feed the elf that lives in my head some sugar so I could put this train together for Christmas. I have to help Santa. That's this knife right here. The Buck 110. Yeah. Red, white, and blue. Like the blue collar trailer park double wide. I'm tapped into my neighbor's cable. Knife. For real. Yeah. You want to come over and watch Magnum PI? Hell yeah. He has to tread in water. The whole episode, man. He's in the water. He's treading water so long, they say he hallucinates, man. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, I hope everybody out there is having a Merry Christmas. I'm sure a few people will be opening these up tomorrow. I got one for a holiday a couple years back. It wasn't this one. I got an auto from a loved one. And I really enjoy the auto. I remember back, they used to convert these to autos, and it's nice that you can buy an auto that's made by Buck now. So that's cool. I know I'm joking and stereotyping and all that stuff. I hope everybody out there is having a wonderful holiday season. This is really, though, a work of art and a fine piece of American craftsmanship. Everybody should have a Buck 110 in their collection, whether they believe a dog in a jacket knows anything or not. Yeah, these are good. These are a good knife to have. The one-arm bandit, the little brass studs you can put on these things, those make these a world of difference in these, and operating them one-handed. But I'm sure y'all know all that. But these are great. And they come so sharp. And you know what? The newer ones, even the 112 I have, one thing I did notice is these newer Bucks, the swedge here, they come like sharp. Like, I wouldn't say like shaven sharp, but sharp enough that they'll cut a pocket. And they do have that. They do have, hear that? They do have the blood sugar tip. They really do. Hear that? This one's pretty. This one I haven't put much to use yet, but these are a hard working knife, and I don't care. The back, these are a 3 3/4 inch blade, I believe. Yeah, 3 3/4. Yeah, and these are a hard working knife, and a lot of people like to say, "Oh, the 420." Buck's heat treat is, I don't know. I heard they were going through a phase a while back or whatever, but in my opinion, Buck's heat treat is way up there. Like, Buck's heat treat is way up there. Strider used Buck's heat treat guy for a lot of years. And yeah. So Buck knows how to heat treat these lower end steels. You know what, this knife, I know guys that still have the same 110 that they had in 1978, and they're still rocking it in the 27-cent avocado belt scabbard that it came with. So, and it's still a functioning, working, perfect knife. You know what I'm saying? It's scratched up, it's patinaed out, but it's still a 100% operational knife 40-some years down the line. I probably have one of these that's 30-some years old, you know? But the point is, it's a great knife. Get yourself one. Get yourself a Trans Am. Get yourself a t-shirt that says "Eat Shit." Be nice to single moms if you date them. It's Christmas. I don't care what you do. Yeah, I should shut up. I drank too much coffee. Hope everybody has a great evening and Christmas. And yay, America.